Happy day, students. Welcome to another interesting session of Class 8 English. Today we are going to look at prose, Unit 11, That Little Square Box. The author of this story is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He was a British writer famous for his stories about the brilliant detective Sherlock Holmes. The stories broke new ground in crime fiction. His other works include fantasy, science fiction stories, plays, poetry, non-fiction, and historical novels. Some of the other famous books are The Lost World and The White Company. The summary of the story is like it has the features of a thriller. Thriller is a story which is full of suspense. The setting is a remote place on board a ship with constricting space and no means of escape. So the situation is the suspicious behavior of two antagonists on board. The protagonist is an ordinary person, quite innocuous, who chanced upon the two only because he wanted to keep away from the hurry and bustle. The suspense mounts as the plot develops, with the protagonist piecing together the clues to a play in which he and all aboard the ship will be victims. The story turns out to be really comic when a different interpretation is provided by the seemingly suspicious behavior of the two men. The comic element is heightened with the protagonist trying to piece the situation together to bolster his suspicion that the two men have criminal intentions. He noticed that they were the last to get on board and he hears them saying, "It wouldn't have been to have messed the ship. No, it would have put our plans out." So he thinks that the box looks dangerous, and he hears Muley say it wouldn't do to have anyone suspecting what our game is, or worse still, have them fumbling with the box or letting it off by mistake. When it is time for the two men to execute their plan, he hears them say it will be too late for anyone to prevent its going off. The tensions he endures is of his own making, and the desperation with which he tries to stop them by shouting, "Would you have the blood of 200 upon your souls?" sounds overdramatic. The anticlimax is in the news item that describes his desperate bid to save the world as a little difficulty at the last moment. Every step that seems to heighten the suspense actually adds to humor. The story shows how a hero in a thriller can make a fool of himself if his deductions are wrong. So the story, which starts actually as a thriller, ends up being a very humorous story, and it also gives an idea about how a hero in a thriller can make a fool of himself if his assumptions or deductions are wrong. So you can just read the story and enjoy the storyline. What do we learn after reading the story? For human tendency to misinterpret people and actions that we do not understand. So if we are not sure of anything, we should not misinterpret, or we should not misunderstand a lot of things, because it will create more confusions. Describe the role of a detective. So you can clearly understand how a detective would work. Identify the story as a spoof of detective stories. So you can relate it to other detective stories which can also be a spoof of. Note the use of exaggeration to heighten the comic effect. So at few places you will really find a lot of situations or scenes have been exaggerated, probably to bring in the comic effect. List the features of a detective story. So happy reading, children. Enjoy. Thank you.